Welcome to our celebration. Please take a seat. We're excited to be have you here with us. Let's give it up for NYC Great and NYC Urban Ambassadors. I don't want to neglect the parents who are here and the guardians who are here who are giving us the most precious gift. And we're excited also to any worthwhile endeavor can never be done alone. We're excited for all our partners. We're excited for Mastermind Connect, which is right behind me. We're excited for Creative Connections. They've been doing amazing work on college readiness. Please give it up for them. And I don't want to neglect all the amazing people you see behind the scenes, all the amazing facilitators, some of my brothers. We got Chris Neal back there, we got Tyrone, we got Siri, we have Ayana, and I don't know if I'm going to say anybody else, but so all of us make up this great team, this great tapestry of people who are doing amazing work. Today represents sort of the celebration of a winter celebration of where we are in our trajectory. We're excited to be here with you because your young people are doing amazing work, and we're excited about that. As you know, some of the stated mission for Urban Ambassadors and NYC Great is that we want to develop leadership, the next cadre of leadership, you know. And yesterday, I was playing checkers with my son, and it dawned on me that the thing about just playing checkers, and I think I was going to use this as a metaphor, but I think it's an important one because people talk about chess as a metaphor all the time. But I want to bring it a level down and talk about checkers. And the reason why I'm talking about checkers is because all the pieces in the checkers piece, right, have the potential to become kings or queens. But if you do that, right? But it won't happen until you move, right? So you move, we move, right? And then once you do get kinged, you have the potential to break all the rules. And what we're trying to do is, like, you know, with you guys is build the next generation of people and leaders who will be kinged. You know, the process between being anointed and being announced to the world is called process. And while you're in your process right now, we're already seeing you for who you are. So today is a celebration of all the amazing things you will accomplish and are accomplishing. And you got all these people here who are created from the sacred incubator to support you in your work. So today is really a culmination, if you will, a celebration of everything that you are, and the belief that we have with you to do it. Last thing I'll say is that, you know, part of the work that we try to do is that, you know, I don't know if you've ever been to a mall, but if you've ever been to a mall, sometimes when I get lost in the mall, I look for that sign that says, "You are here," right? And then you figure out where you want to go, right? So that's your destination. So where you are and your destination gives you direction. And we want you guys to have direction for your lives, have purpose in your life, and that is the work that we're trying to do. So today, I just want to say thank you for being here and being part of us. Thank you for coming, voting with your fee every day to come to UA, to come to NYC Great. We're excited to have all of you. And with that, let's welcome Mastermind Connect.
Good afternoon, everybody. No, it's afternoon. Morning is already done. It's great to be here. I'm your moderator for today, Andre Turnbull, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be here to witness this, and I've been excited about it from the very first time I was here. It's cold outside. It's very cold, and it's good to be here, right? So please put your hands together first of all for yourselves, for being here, for taking the time out to be here this morning. To all the parents, you can do a little bit better than that. Put your hands together for the parents. Without further ado, we have some incredible gentlemen here with us today, and I'm going to briefly introduce them, and then after which we're going to flow into our panel discussion, and they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves afterwards. First up, we have Mr. Carlos Davila. He's a professor at FitPro at the Fitting Room. Put your hands together for him. This next young man is a metaphysical teacher, healer, and life coach. Please put your hands together for Mr. Joshua Dorfman. Next up, we have Mr. Sean Jenkins, who's the head coach at Tone House. Put your hands together for him, please. And last, but certainly not least, we have the prolific, and I admire this man because of his very profound wisdom and wealth of knowledge. Please put your hands together for Mr. Phil Babon. We'll get more from him later on. All right, so gentlemen, so before we get into that, I just want you guys to know that this is an open forum, and you're going to hear a little bit about them and what they do, how they got started, and then we're going to open up the floor for questions. So please listen to them, listen to everything that they're saying. Get your questions together because we want to hear from you today. All right, that's good. Awesome, awesome. So, gentlemen, I'm gonna start with. Let me see. I'm gonna start with Sean. All the way over there. We'll start with Sean. So, Sean, if you don't mind, briefly, just tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started, and kind of if you can infuse what your childhood was like, and what inspired you to be doing what you're doing now.
No. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Can everyone hear me? Yes? I just want to clarify, I'm actually the director of training at Tone House, which means I facilitate all of the training team, I handle all the finances, and I make sure that the team is running efficiently. So I just wanted to clarify that so you just know. I just had to make sure that was clear. The next section is I've moved into a section of my life is the philanthropic aspects. I just started a non-for-profit which is geared towards helping inner city children from diverse backgrounds, where we are raising funds to provide them an opportunity to play whatever sport they like. So for example, my daughter likes to ride horses, she's a future equestrian. So imagine that opportunity where I take someone from Bed-Stuy, Canarsie, the Bronx, and provide them the opportunity to learn how to ride horses. So that's the overall touch base of what my non-for-profit is about. That's very near and dear to my heart. Giving back is the utmost of who I am. Grew up in Brooklyn, grew up in Bed-Stuy. Before Bed-Stuy was the Bed-Stuy is right now. Stuyvesant Heights. Stuyvesant Heights. It wasn't called that. It was pretty much do or die. And it cultivated me to be a young man who had to grow up very fast, and I had to be on my toes. I had to learn a lot very quickly. I was afforded the opportunity to go to prep school in Connecticut through scholarship, so it allowed me to see a diverse world where I was in the haves at one moment, and I was with the have-nots at another moment. So it showed me a duality of what life is about. Eventually went on to college and just explored into a bunch of just entrepreneurial things. I was in a nightlife scene for a while, and I quickly realized that was not what my spirit was called for. I like to connect to people, but my spirit was about healing. It was about making people feel better. So I quickly realized that the fitness scene was where I needed to end up, and my career has just evolved. I don't like to exacerbate about things. It's just not my style, but I've been blessed with the opportunity to grow my career from a simple trainer to leading one of the best organizations in Manhattan. Long story short.
Awesome. Joshua, you want to take it away?
All right. Can you hear me? Great. All right, I'm Joshua. What I am is a metaphysical teacher, healer, and life coach. So what metaphysics is basically helping people get to the nature of the cause of their situation or symptom. So sometimes we have stress, we feel anger, we feel pain in our body. I help people get to the beginning, when that was created and how and why. And from there, we can sort of solve the problem. I'm a teacher, I teach meditation, and I'm a life coach. And what a life coach is basically someone who helps people with their life, right? So we all have to do what we have to do. We have to go to work, we have to go to school, we have jobs, we have relationships, and then we have emotions, we have our thoughts, and the way we feel. And there are a lot of people who just need help with that. They need help with, tell me how to feel better, tell me how to deal with my emotions, Give me your opinion on how I should go about X, Y, and Z. I am from Brooklyn, born and raised. Was raised with a single mom. And, you know, like him, I've experienced both the have and have-nots, or the duality of life. So having and not having. I know what it's like to be abundant and prosperous, and I know what it's like to starve and struggle. And I've always had older people in my life who were influencers who would share their experience with me. And I noticed that the way older people would connect with me, it made me realize that I'm a people person. Because there has to be something about me that makes people feel comfortable speaking to me. And just upon analyzing that, it made me realize that my purpose is to help people. And just using my experiences in my life, the struggles and the abundance, I knew that my purpose here was to help people feel inspired and motivated and also feel good on the inside. Because if you don't feel good on the inside, there's nothing on the outside that can help you. You know, you gotta feel happy with what you're doing, and you need to feel passionate about what you're doing. And I think that a lot of people ask, well, what is my purpose, or how do I discover my purpose? And you follow what you love. Whatever that is, it doesn't matter. You follow what you love, and I promise you, your purpose will fall on your lap. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Oh, it's your turn, sir.
Can you guys hear me? Good. Better? All right. Where do I start? I guess I'll start from the beginning. Grew up in the Bronx. But that's what I had to say. I got no Brooklyn. Bronx is heavy. Brooklyn? Bronx is very heavy today. All right, I'm back. Grew up as a very skinny, introverted, shy kid. And fitness, which is sort of where my life is now, wasn't anywhere near, on my radar. I actually got into fitness kind of by mistake. I was in school for psychology and started to work out when I was in undergrad, and kind of just got approached by one of the gym managers. He was like, "Do you want a part-time job?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And like seriously, and that has now evolved into me working at a very high-end boutique studio in the city, and training a bunch of people on the side. And I've kind of been on through the entire spectrum of fitness, from very kind of low budget facilities to very high-end celebrity kind of focus. I'm not gonna name drop anyone, but I've trained a lot of people whose names you guys know. But throughout that time, I was still, getting my degree in psychology, and I started teaching psychology. And for a while, I was trying to figure out, because it felt like I was being like two different people. Like I was Professor Davila half the week, but I was also Trainer Carlos, or whatever other name people call me. And I finally, about 3 years ago, sort of fell into sports psychology and realized that I can kind of marry those two things together and still, do a lot of the stuff that I do with psychology, but also attach it to health and wellness and physical activity. So that's kind of been my career path, and there's been, a lot of bumps and hurdles through that. But I say all that to say, like, don't feel like you need to figure out what you're gonna do right now. Like, I had no idea that this is where I would be. The fact that I'm talking in front of you guys is still, like, shocking to me. Just, when I was your age, the last thing I thought was that I would be in 3 different jobs where I'm in front of people all the time. So don't feel like you need to figure out what it is that you're gonna do right now. Have an idea, but kind of let that path develop. Don't feel like you need to put yourself in a box, because that's when your options sort of get limited. And I'm sure we'll touch more on that, but that's me.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Doesn't need an intro.
No, it's all right. I'm sorry, I was just anxious. Go ahead.
Mr. Ford the bar.
All right. My background. I'm probably the eldest person in the room knows. I'm the eldest amongst the group here and probably the mastermind connect. I was actually introduced to them by my little brother. And my little brother in his adult life has now been someone who basically has taught me a lot. That's neither here nor there, but I started off in Queens. I'm a kid from Queens. Yeah! Queens get the money, right? And to be honest with you, when I was probably your age, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I was actually already doing it. I choreographed commercials. I then went on and realized that I probably couldn't survive on $250 a night a show, and I should step my game up, and I decided to go to college. Went to Howard University. That was one of the best decisions I ever made. I didn't have any money to be there. I didn't have any business there, but it was a goal, and when you have a goal and you're driven and you understand what the value of opportunity is, you take advantage of that. And if you're not taking notes right now, to some degree with the people that you're speaking to up here, I think you're probably wasting your opportunity here. Because there are certain things that are going to be said here that if you don't bring them to life within your own world and hold on to them and reference them and have an ability to look back and really have some level of true retrospect, then you're not going to realize your full potential of growth. Like I said, I've been in several industries. As a dancer, I realized I couldn't make money that way or the level that I wanted to, so I basically got in the music business. The same groups that I was dancing for, I began to manage. I managed the careers of about 10 of your top acts. Probably 8 of them are still out today, multi-platinum. I have plaques on my wall, and I have dust on my wall. But at the same time, it was a great experience. So from the music business, I segued into fashion. When I was calling up big companies like Tommy Hilfiger and Ralph Lauren, looking for them to support my multi-platinum artists, I was being sent to the mailroom and other places where people, they thought, could understand what I was talking about. And that's where lack of diversity comes in, and that's something that we all should be aware of. You should be aware of your surroundings in that manner. Don't look for excuses, look for opportunities. So I say that to say music was great. I had a long, nice career. I had a very successful career. I realized that the energy and the vibration and the sound of the music was not what I represented, and it began to go south, it began to go negative, and that's probably what a lot of you are hearing today. The record companies had an agenda, the radio and media has an agenda for you. If you're not aware of what's going on around you truly in its honest, truest sense, and I call it woke, being aware of your surroundings, being aware of your circumstances, being aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, being sensitive to those things, and being honest with yourself. But those are just messages with, throughout the story. But music was great, had a good career, but when I started hearing the content of even some of my own artists and the degradation of women, negativity, crab in a bucket mentality, people who don't understand unity and how to build, that was what the message was beginning to come to music. So I decided, like I tell people all the time, I have a 7th instinct. I smell fire. And when I smell fire, I leave the building. And that's what I did. I left music and I got into fashion. I was fortunate and blessed enough to be part of a startup of a company that actually made history. We did it twice. I won't name names, but you probably don't even know the names based on your age, so it's irrelevant. And then after fashion, I went into film. The gentleman talked about passion. I've lived through my passion. I've, driven myself to be disciplined, not just to be in it, but to be more than just a physical presence, but to be of value. And that's what we all, at this point in life. If I had somebody to talk to me in this forum, or I had an opportunity, or I even had a parent who could have taken me to a place like this, you have to value these small things, because those are the links in the chain that are going to define who you become. And the one thing I will share with you in parting is exposure is 100% of the game. If you can expose yourself to the things that you love, like, and respect, you will put yourself in a position to absorb a world of knowledge. And when you absorb that knowledge, it's good to think you know something, but always understand that if you're truly living life in the fullest, you're a student, always. Thank you.
I could listen to this guy all day, and you just heard a fraction of, his story. But since we are, it sounds really bad, but since we're in the realm of, okay, right. So since we're in the realm of wellness, and all these gentlemen represent the wellness industry to some degree, whether it's physical or spiritually or mentally, however it is. So, Joshua, my question, this question I actually have it for you, but I'm going to throw it out there afterwards. I'm going to have you answer it first, okay. And then anybody else can jump in after that. But given the climate that we're in now, with everything that's happening in and around us, politically, socially, all that stuff, things that are happening on social media and all this other stuff, and everybody here, I'm sure, is exposed to social media to some degree. It's inevitable. But we understand dreams and we understand aspirations and living out passion, and it all starts from here. It all starts from mind. And so my question to you is how, and I guess how you can advise them who are going to be going off to college and they're going to be exposed to a whole world of a whole lot of other stuff. But what is your advice to them on maintaining a sound mind?
No pressure.
No pressure. All right. Well, I think that something that's important, a word that we all need to really embody is balance. Okay? Because everything in life is about balance, right? You can't eat too much food because you'll get full and you won't feel good. So it's the same with what you take in. So naturally, there is the news. How many of you watch the news, actually? Okay. And then how many of you follow, Instagram feed on news? Okay. It's cool. There's no judgment here. I mean, I don't watch the news. But this is why. Because there are things happening in the world, in our politics, and in the world. And I believe it's good to know about, but I also believe that you have to be conscious about what you want to take in. Your mind is like a bag, right? What do you want to fill your bag with? Do you want to fill your bag with something that's stress? Something that makes you feel sad or angry or heavy? Or do you want to fill your bag with something that is lighter? Something that makes you happy, something that's positive, something that's inspiring? So for those of you who are interested in watching the news and knowing your current events, go for it. But create a balance with what you allow in and how much of that you allow in. It's the same like with food. We all love to eat different kinds of food. Some food is better to eat than others, right? So you have to create a balance with how much food you take in that isn't good for you versus how much you do that is. So to maintain a sound mind is creating a balance with what you allow inside of you. Because watching the news, looking at social media, reading a book, talking to people, it's all outside of you, right? What's inside is what counts the most. So people can tell you something, you can read something, watch something, hear something, but how does it affect you, and do you allow it to affect you? And how do you allow it to affect you? Does that make sense? Yes. So creating a balance is being conscious of what you take in and how you allow it to affect you. So you can create strength and self-empowerment by knowing what you don't like, and then don't take that in, right? It's like a person who, when you're around, they don't make you feel good. You probably wouldn't hang around that person, right? It's that simple. So it's the same with anything else. The news, the media, anything that's happening in the world. Now, just to say this too, sometimes we see something happening in the world that doesn't make us feel good, but then it inspires us to do something about it. It inspires like this fire inside of you to stand for something. And if you feel that with any cause, you go for it. Because the truth is, you can do anything you want, and time doesn't matter. You can start now, you can start next year, but start. So if something drives you, something that makes you passionate, something upsets you to the point where you're like, I need to stand, I need to do something about this, then do it. Yeah?
Peace of mind. Balance. He said something that was very important, balance. Balance is everything. During my childhood, there was one thing that actually saved my life. I studied martial arts. And when I studied martial arts, it humbled me. And it allowed me to test the threshold of my physical, my mental, and my spiritual. And I only say that to say that there are 3 treasures in life: your mind, your body, and your heart, your spirit. Those 3 things have to be in balance. Those 3 things have to be protected. What he talked about is a filter. We need to create a filter for ourselves. And let's understand one universal law. Everything vibrates. Everything around you right now is vibrating. Everything is vibrating in either a circular motion or a counterclockwise motion. Either way, it's vibrating. And when you come around somebody and go, I don't like his vibe, that's facts. You understand what facts are, right? Factory, however you want to say it, all right? Everything is vibrating, and your filter has to be in tune with that vibration. And if you're feeling a certain level of negativity and what I call low-level vibration, you step away from that. There are people who are going to be resonating on a higher level than you are, and you're going to realize it by your attraction to them. Ever hear of the law of attraction? Things of that nature? That's part of what you call, it's a book I read, and if you want to read it, I don't know if you're ready for it, but it's something to keep on your radar. It's the 7 hermetic laws of the world, life. There are 7 universal laws of the world, basically. Law of correspondence, law of cause and effect, all of those things. I won't get into the details of them, but they all have to do with the vibrational code of the world. When somebody is around you and they have a positive outlook on things, they're doing positive things, they don't need to be told to do things, they follow and lead by example, that's a higher vibrational code. That's the level you want to resonate on. We as human beings have something called self-assimilation within us. It's in your DNA, whether you like it or not. Okay? There's a part of you that's inside of you. It's like a little seed that's been implanted from birth, just like melanin and other things that are in your DNA. And basically what they do is it's called self-actualization. There's a point in time in your life, probably when you get a little bit older than me or about my age, you start to realize that there's more to life than just the physical world around you. Now, if you begin to get in tune with that now, and you get in tune with your mind, your body, and your spirit, your heart, you'll be able to create a level of balance that you can carry into adulthood that will help you with everything that you deal with. When you're dealing with a situation that's challenging you, you find something that you don't like, maybe it's not that person or that thing. Maybe it's you and the way you react. Maybe it's the way you're interpreting or the filter you're using. You know, a lot of the problems that we talk about today in the news is media. Media has an agenda, and it's fear-based. You want to be scared, turn on the news. Okay? Be careful of what you... I cut my cable off 4 years ago. Okay? I don't watch TV series, not that you have to be extreme. I don't watch news of... I watch news, I study politics. Went to Howard University. Best institution on the planet. Okay? You have to be careful on what you digest. I was told by somebody that the person of the highest discipline is one who can control his appetite. Okay? You have an appetite for many things. It's how you discipline yourself to meter those impulses, because the things that are around you are influencing you whether you like it or not. You're only as good or as genuine or as great as the person you spend most of your time with or around. So if you're spending your time around people who aren't sure, who are negative, who are trying to get you and pull you into places that you know vibrationally are not great, you have to rise above that. I call that leveling up. Every time you get to a point where somebody is challenging, and maybe it's something you don't understand, you have to look at it as a learning moment. These are teaching moments. They're not the moments where you get frustrated, you throw your hands up, you begin to curse, you lose patience. No, these are the times where you say to yourself, okay, I need to smile in the face of adversity because life is always going to be tested. And if you're not prepared or you haven't built the girth, the strength for these tests, you're not going to be successful in start with yourself. All of that I say to say is, forget about what's going on around you, forget about what's going on TV, forget about what's going on the internet. Look at yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, okay, some of us have health issues. I found out that I had diabetes at 28. I was in Japan when I found out. I was on tour. You know, I was making a lot of money. But none of that meant a thing if I could not be healthy to enjoy it and to share it with people that I love. So you're no good to anyone else, not even to yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself. Your health is important. The food you eat is important. Okay? A lot of our foods, the media has an agenda. The suppliers of our foods have an agenda. If you're not eating green food, plant-based, nutrients, back to nature. He said metaphysical. Metaphysical to me means being able to use my mind to control my physical environment. Some people call that alchemy. Some people call that magic. But in my 49 years of living on this earth, I've been able to move things with my mind without a physical touch. And if you can do that on multitudes of levels, you'll experience a great life. You'll do whatever you feel. And nothing can stop you because you're your only competition. It's your shortcomings, your weaknesses, and your inability to be honest with yourself that is going to hold you down. There's not a person in this room that can stop you from doing what you want to do. And I'll leave it at that.
I just want to say something. Sure thing. I have my daughters sitting in the front row, and I'm going to say to you that trial and error. Nothing in life is promised. Nothing in life is guaranteed. The only way you find out what your true reality is by going through it. Nothing I say, nothing anyone is saying to you is your reality. Only until you live within your reality, you can experience your life, experience what your surroundings are, is when you find out what your inner strength is about. So live, learn, fail, learn from the lessons. That would be my humble.
I wanted to add really quickly because I think social media and the impact that social media has on us psychologically is something that has become kind of a research topic for me recently, and I talk to my students about this all the time. And if there's a word that I would want you guys to take when thinking about social media and the information you get is discernment. Being able to separate what's factual, what's an opinion, and what's just someone trying to get attention. And I think, there's a system within social media where you have people that it allows for a acceptable form of narcissism, right? And yeah, it's this weird kind of, I can be narcissistic and it's okay because I'm getting likes, because people, appreciate or show some liking of what I'm doing. And I think for us, as we're constantly taking information, like if you have a phone, you have access to, I can't even put into words how much information you have access to, and you're constantly being bombarded with information, whether you're on a feed, whether you read the news on your phone. You need to start thinking critically, right? All this information that you're getting is not factual. All this information that you're getting is not coming from people that may have your best interests at heart. So when you're getting all this information, when you're going through all these feeds, when you're taking in all this stuff, like stop for a second and think about the information that you're getting. Think about where the information is coming from, and think about what you want to do with that information. Don't just be a receptacle, right? You need to use that information to do something, and not to make it a shameless plug, but I love this man's social media feed. Like I've never had someone make me stop wherever I'm at and like reevaluate who I am as a person. And like I'm not like that sounds real talk, like that sounds dramatic.
That's only because I'm doing it to myself.
No, that sounds dramatic, but I'm dead serious. Like I'll be on the train, I'll see one of his posts and I'm like, I'm not living my life the best way possible. No, and it's like, and I think as much as you're gonna have your social media people that you follow for entertainment, you need to follow people that are going to motivate you. You need to follow people that are trying to inspire you and trying to get you past whatever apathy this culture has created. All right, I just wanted to throw that in real quick.
Very well. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. So we have come to a very point to hear from you, and I'm going to open up the floor. I'm sure a lot of you have questions, and I don't want you to be shy. I want you guys to really open up and ask questions. These guys are well knowledge.
Do you have a microphone?
Frank, yes. So, who's got the first question? What's the first?
Seven hermetic laws. It's called the Kabbalion. K-Y-B-A-L-I-O-N. And it basically teaches you about the universe, nature. He said metaphysics, there's a study of nectar, which means basically the science of nature. We live in a universe that's driven by. What was the question? Because I don't know if you finished the question you were asking. Oh, you just wanted to know. Kabbalion. Okay, good. I just want to make sure that this question was really the Kabbalion. There's a book that I would recommend for you guys to get started. It's called The Four Agreements. Okay? The Four Agreements. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Four Agreements. Basically, it's 4 laws to live by. One is, let's see, my homework. 4 laws was always do your best. Okay, no matter what's going on, no matter what the situation, always give 200%, 150%. Like I told you, there were times where I've done odd jobs. Okay, I swept floors, I cleaned toilets, but you know what? I did it the best that I could so that every day I could go home and feel good about my effort. Which means that you're not working against yourself. That means you're working in your own favor, okay? And when you're working hard, people are watching. May not be the people you think should be, but there are people watching. So always do your best. This one's really hard. Never make assumptions, okay? When you walk in front of someone, you never know what they've been through. You don't even know where they just come from. So you assuming anything until that person opens their mouths and or presents themselves in a manner before your assumption, you're giving away your power. So always do your best, never make assumptions. This one's a really hard one. Never take anything personally. Okay? Frank, you're ugly. No. See, it's not how Frank is, it's how I'm feeling that I'm making Frank share with me on how I'm feeling. So you don't take things personally. Somebody's talking to you in a certain way, they're not talking to you because they feel that way about you. That's how they feel about themselves. And what you put out is just a reflection of what you are. So never take anything personal, always do your best, never make assumptions. And fourth one,
Be impeccable with your word.
Be impeccable with your word. When I was growing up, we had a saying. I grew up around a lot of, Islamic 5%ers, and we had a saying that said, "Word is bomb." My word is bomb. Okay? What that means is that my father used to tell me this, and I don't want to be vulgar, but you only have 2 things in your life: your word and your cojones. That's it. Okay? Your word should mean everything. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you say you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, you do it. If you're going to be late, you tell someone that you're going to be late. You follow through. Impeccable with your word. That way, you don't have to feel guilty. We know sometimes when we don't do our best and we're not at our best, we feel guilty. That is you working against yourself. You think you hurt someone else when it's really hurting you. Because that guilt that you feel carries a burden and it's a distraction to your goal. Okay? 4 agreements. What's the next question? Yeah, yeah. Our process is to say to yourself, I'm not going to be young forever, and what are the best things that I can do to build up strength over my lifetime? Okay? I'm not just talking physical strength, I'm talking mental strength. And in order to do that, there are certain disciplines that give you that comfort. I was fortunate at the age of 8 and 9 years old to be put in Shaolin Kung Fu. So, and then that was what made me so great at being a dancer, which brought me on tour and traveled me around the world and gave me the opportunity to sign deals at major record label companies because they had been seeing me for years. And they saw my dedication and they saw my drive. So I would get into sort of martial arts. You may think it sounds corny, but it ain't corny. You know, I used to get bullied as a kid. I played classical violin, and I lived in Astoria projects. That's not a good combination, okay? So people, well, they would try to bully you, but until they felt that kick across the neck, or that submission hold, or that me being still gracious to you by telling you I don't want to hurt you, but you're already being hurt, it gives you a certain level of power and understanding of how you can control things. And I tell people all the time, some of the best fights that I ever had were never fought. Because self-discipline and self-control is your best friend. It'll keep you from running wild with your buddies who don't have a clue, blind leading the blind. It'll put you in a position to say to myself, and one other thing is, look at your life. What are you doing every day? There's something in what you're doing every day that's either making you successful or holding you back. That's what you need to find. Those things.
All right.
And complacency is the cousin of death.
Awesome, very well. So I'm sure you have a lot more questions. And gentlemen, just we're going to try to keep our answers a little bit brief because we want to get to everybody's question. So I know you had a question. Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Taylor. I attend Bachelor's Preparatory Academy course. And my question has a follow-up question. So it says, have you ever experienced a time where you felt that what you were pursuing didn't feel right anymore? And what did you have to change within or around you to feel good again when you're back on track? Just trying to follow.
I highlighted a reference point that I was in the nightclub industry. It's a very parasitic world. It's a very parasitic lifestyle. So within that parasitic endeavor, I became a very parasitic human being myself. You have to realize, my daughters are sitting in front of me, so I'm being extremely vulnerable with you right now. And just stay with it. Within that lifestyle, it puts you in a position where you start to take from people. You constantly take from people. And your only endeavor is to take and take, which leads you to become an individual that only takes, that doesn't know how to give back. And I realized that that's not me. You know, the moment my eldest one was born, I quickly realized there's more to life. There's more to giving back. And it is more than taking. It's about giving back. It's about leaving that mark. So I say the evolution of that moment in my life is leaving the nightclub world and moving into other ones.
I think I actually have a somewhat similar story as far as sort of what was that moment where I started to realize that my potential I wasn't being compensated for the amount of work that I was doing within the fitness industry. And I think it happened at a similar time when I had my oldest son. And started to realize that before him, I didn't really mind it as much, but now that, you know, you're a dad and you have all these other responsibilities, then you start to sort of take stock of the amount of hours that you're working and what you're getting compensated for it. Like I had to sort of take a step back and realize that where I was at that time wasn't really going to allow me to be the type of trainer and the type of instructor and the type of educator, because that's a big part of what I personally do in fitness, that I could and should have been. It's funny because SRJ had a conversation about this a while ago, and we just took a deep breath and realized that, like, we're so blessed to be in the positions that we are right now, but people have no idea what that hustle was to get there. Like, you see the Instagram posts, you see the magazines, you see all that now, but the hustle that came before that was significant, and understanding your value and understanding that you need to put yourself in a position where your value is actually appreciated, and figuring out ways to make sure that you're not put in a position where you have to say yes to everything that's thrown at you. Like, there's, honestly, I'm at a point in my life where there's nothing better than for me to tell someone no. Like, there is so much power in that 10, 15 years ago, I would never tell someone who wanted to be a client no, because it was something that I felt scared. Oh my God, where am I going to get this money from? But you need to put yourself in a position where you're in control of the consequences of your life.
Yeah. So, I teach meditation, right? So, basically what my classes do is it allows people to feel good inside. It allows people to relieve stress, to feel happiness as opposed to sadness, and to feel inspired, and to feel strong, and to feel empowered. I've been doing this for a few years, and it's very rewarding for me because my purpose is to help people feel good. And something that I struggle with for years and still struggle with is that my family does not agree with what I do. I come from an old school Puerto Rican family. Yeah. So literally, because I teach meditation, they think I do voodoo. Very straight up. And so a couple of years ago, you know, I was going through this like a lot. Like, I was hearing stuff every day. My family doesn't support me. They don't even ask what I do. They don't even want to hear about anything positive I have to say because it is all positive. And while at the same time, I had a lot of hate from people coming towards me, from other healers, from other teachers. And I got pissed. I was upset. I was upset at God, believe it or not. And I was arguing with God to myself, saying, God, why you have me doing this work? Why is this my purpose and people are against me? And one thing that I did that was wise was I allowed myself to be angry, because we gotta allow ourselves to feel what we feel. And it was working through that, or walking through that anger, that I discovered a sensitivity within myself that aligned with this answer from God, you know, that basically told me I am loved no matter what, and that my mission here is supported no matter if there are people, aka my family, who don't understand it. So I triumphed out of that because I reminded myself, well, I was reminded that I'm supported and that I'm loved by something higher, but also that I love what I do. And I say this to you to say that sometimes you want to do something, and there will be people around you who don't understand it. And there will be people who are jealous of you and who will hate on you. And like Phil said earlier, it's not personal. I took it personal then, but I realized then and now, it's not personal. It's people looking at you and noticing that you're doing something they don't have the strength to do.
Yep.
Say it again. So when people are hating on you, you're doing something right. When there's jealousy around you, you're doing something right. And if you feel good about what you do, you're doing something right.
Stay focused.
Stay focused.
Let me add to that, because I think to add to your question, you said, what do you do to get through it? There are certain things you need to remember. And I tell you, I work in business. I build companies, I build brands. You know, my clients are doing pretty well. So what I say to people all the time is that all money isn't good money. Now, if you can understand what that means, then you'll get to understand what it means in true life. All money is not good money, okay? The next thing is that if there's something that's challenging you, as I said before, those are growth moments. Sometimes you need to go through the fire to come out refined, as they say. You know what I mean? And it's within those moments and those times that show the character of who you are. Because at the end of the day, nobody's opinion matters but your own. That's between you and the God that loves you. You know what I mean? So I would just say, keep your head, stay focused. I have another rule. I call it the 24-hour rule. I don't really make too many decisions at the moment unless it's instinctively correct. And I know that from a vibrational level. But what I usually do is I sleep on it. And if I wake up the next day and I feel the same way about it, then that's the way it should be. Okay? Because you have to give yourself time. Emotions are a crippler sometimes. And if you're not able to control your emotions, then some of us have different reasons why. You know, some of us come from single-family homes. We're raised by one parent, and we get the most of what that one parent has to offer us. They did the best, or could do the best that they could with what they would do. But you have to realize that at a certain point in time in your life, you have to begin to take control and take yourself where you want to be.
Did you have a second part to your question, or? Oh, you did. Awesome. Is there anybody else with a question? Please go ahead.
And my question to the whole panel is that, what is that moment when you knew that you weren't, what was that moment that you didn't, that you felt like you weren't working to the best of your ability, that you weren't feeling your potential?
Can I answer that?
Right now.
Right now, I have a daily mantra. And my daily mantra is never stop, never settle, never stop. So within that daily mantra, it allows me to always acknowledge the fact that there's always work to do. So if you're ever around me, you ever feel my energy, I always have this presence of there's always work to do, there's always more to do. So I don't have a mentality of settling. And it allows you the opportunity to keep pushing forward and finding that success. So I'm sure the three other gentlemen here have that same type of ideology. I just never settle.
I've got 2 books for you. The 1 Minute Salesman. It's a very good book. It tells you about how to maximize your time. And 2, the second book, slipped my head, Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle. Oh my God. I read that book 3 times. Okay, I read that book 3 times. I'm actually started it the 4th time. Oh, no, it's just, you know, like a good movie, you don't get everything the first year. When you have a good cinema, you see a good film, there's certain things within the layering of the story in the film that allow you, and if you're excited when you first see it, you're a true fan of, you know, the director or whatever, you're going to look at it with certain eyes. And then you're going to say, wow, it's amazing. But then you're going to look at it the second time and be like, how did you even notice that? So I read books more than once, and I say that to say I was never really that smart. I mean, I was pretty smart, but I was more of a hard worker than I was intelligent. I gained intelligence through my habits, and those 3 books pretty much can help you put yourself in a position to have a great fighting chance at a great level of success.
I actually wanted to follow up on your questions real quick. Another book that I would recommend is The Motivation Stuff.
Yes.
And similar to what SRJ said, and Uncle said as well, like, you never want to put yourself in a position where you get complacent, right? Like that constant hustle, whatever your particular field is, whether, I think you shared when we talked about dance earlier, like if that's your hustle, keep dancing. Keep dancing every opportunity you get, every venue you can find, because you don't know who's watching. So many of the opportunities that I've had within the industry that I'm in was because I was hustling and someone was watching my hustle. And they were like, I want that hustle here. So you may not think that anybody's paying attention, and at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be about anybody else. Like, it needs to be about you fulfilling yourself, but someone's watching. Whether you realize it or not, someone's watching. And the moment that you're like, I'm good, this is all I need to do right now, that's when no one's watching. That's when those opportunities that may have been there, that may have been festering, like those opportunities are going to be gone. So keep hustling.
We're in the final stretch, and I got you, sir, but there's a gentleman out here who's been asked this question for a long time, in the back. So please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gary English. I'm a senior for Urban Ambassadors. I go to high school for global citizenship. So my question is for Mr. Phil. You said you're only as good as the person who spends most of your time with.
The people.
People you spend most of your time with. But what if that person or those people
vibrational and like mind that you have. Okay? And if you, I have a saying, another saying. Write this one down. No man is an island. You understand the depth of that? Okay, no man is an island. Okay? Just when you think you can do it alone is when you can fail. Okay? And not that you need anybody, because I have another saying. One monkey don't stop no show. Okay? Because that's just the confidence and the understanding of the girth that I built over the years to know. I was at a Def Jam's Christmas party 2 nights ago, and they closed the doors. Security, fire marshals, everybody. And the guy was like, "Why aren't you leaving?" He said, "Because I'm going inside." It's a little bit, it's a party, but I had business inside. And guess what? I got inside. You know why? Because no to me means next opportunity. Okay? Impossible means I am possible. Okay? But at the same time, you need to be inspired and you need to have iron sharpens iron. That's the next one I'm going to tell you. Okay? You think you're that guy? You're not half the guy you might be able to be. Okay? And never limit your growth. You think you got something now? One of the guys that I studied for a long time as a child, he was like my hero growing up. And it's funny because I have a 13-year-old daughter. She just graduated 7th grade in Mandarin Chinese. She speaks 3 languages. I love Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee told me, said something, when I read his book when I was like 14, 15, and he said, flow like water. Anytime you put water in anything, it doesn't stop, it continues to move. So you're gonna come across some people who are gonna create dams, but the water still flows over, around, or under. There are gonna be obstacles in the road. I have a saying, I'm gonna walk around you, through you, or over you. And that doesn't mean physical. Everything is not about physical. It's about understanding your personal power. Now, we all have to realize, like, how many people have the same fingerprint as you? You think that's by chance? You think an explosion of a meteor or something happened and created that? Exactly. You know that you have that spirit in you, which means that we are God ourselves. So be the God of your universe, but God can't stand alone. You know what I'm saying? We have to fellowship. We have to build. You know what I'm saying? And the priests and people that you're around in our building, your vibrational meter will know. You keep it moving.
So I want to highlight this particular aspect. I like to use this analogy about the wolf. And the wolf is the greatest predator in the forest. And I equate myself as being a wolf. But by themselves singly, they're amazing hunters. But it's a pack. So you start to take on this ideology that you are the wolf, or you are the God, or you are who you presume yourself to be, and you meet people by circumstance or encounters, you learn, you share, you grow. Every single individual you meet in your entire life won't be with you throughout your entire journey process, but you will take from that and you absorb. I want to highlight, you are that wolf. You are that wolf. Become that wolf. Grow that wolf. And then manifest your path. Once your path comes together, you become the leader of that path. But always be the wolf. Always be the wolf. You never be the sheep. Never. Never be the sheep.
Awesome. I'm going to get to you in a second because we have to wrap up. But the gentleman in the back, please go ahead.
Yes, Kevin Presley, the father of Cameron Presley. And I want to hear that the sacrifice and the hard work of single parents, because my water will flow way after I'm gone.
Right.
I want to hear that. That sacrifice and the hard work of the single parent.
Oh yeah, big time.
And gentlemen, we just by way of announcement, we want to use the brief because we have just a few minutes and get a wrap. So keep your answers brief and then just get going.
Now, your question was exactly?
It's not a question, I just want to hear it so everyone else can hear
Oh,
about
yeah.
that hard work and that sacrifice.
my mother raised,
That's single parents.
yeah, my mother raised six kids by herself. Got 2 degrees, and made sure we had food in our belly and emphasized education. When I had a career job before I went to college. I got a job at Health and Hospitals Corporation. I was 19 years old. I was making $26,000 a year at 19, and I got the epiphany. I needed to go to college. My mother was like, "You can retire here." I was like, "No, you can retire here." That was my attitude. Because our job, and if your child is in this room, your job is to do and take it beyond where your parents have gone. Because they sacrificed for you to have the opportunity to gain more than they ever had. I know that as a parent myself, that's how I felt. And I saw the sacrifices that my mother made. My parents were divorced at 12, 13 years old, and I shared it personally, I would come home and my mother would be crying in her room. Because she didn't know how she was going to do it. But because she had faith in God, and God was with her, and she was a good person, and she did good things. My mother's what you call a servant leader. Sometimes to lead people, you have to walk behind. And that's what single parents do. Okay?
And that water continues to flow.
Always.
Non-stop.
Absolutely. Give them.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. So unfortunately, we have come to the very end. Here's the thing. They're going to be around. So if you do have questions and you want to touch base with them one-on-one, you can definitely do that. But we have to move on. And so we've come to the end of the panel discussion. And I'm going to bring on the lovely Ms. Leslie Ann Dunn. So please put your hands together.
Of course. Peace and blessings to all of you. I'm so excited. 12 months ago this week we were in this room, right? Yes. So thank you to my mastermind brothers, as always, for bringing your full human selves to our young people. And thank you to, where are the parents? Can we all the parents stand up? All the kids, give your parents a round of No, I always thank the parents because, you really put your children in my hands, you let me take them on road trips, you let me, text you and email you, and then we're singing Ayana. Yes. How